Howdy YouTubers, I'm going to talk about smoking ribs, St. Louis cut pork ribs. And most of what you see on YouTube is the 3-2-1 method. It's not the right one. What works perfectly if you want meat that's just going to melt and fall off the bone is the 2-3-0.5 method. Meaning 2 hours with a rub at 225 degrees Fahrenheit. Then you wrap it in a heavy-duty aluminum foil with a half stick of butter and about a half a cup of apple juice, and you let it go for 3 hours. And that's where it really just tenderizes the meat, makes it fall off the bone. Then take it out, unwrap it, put barbecue sauce on it. I use Stubbs original, so it's not too sweet. Throw it back in for another half hour, and boom, you got the best ribs ever. So first thing I do is I peel off the membrane, and you've seen that on other videos. I usually just take a piece of paper towel and grab the end of it and just pull it off. And then I'm going to put a dry rub. It's Bone Sucking Sauce is the brand. And I've got 2 ribs going actually because we were having some guests over. So I'll show you how I do the rub. This is the dry rub I use. It's Bone Sucking Sauce. It's the best. I've tried other ones. This is the best one out there, honestly. Opinion or fact, you decide. I think it's fact. So I put a decent amount all over both sides, and then I'll usually let it sit for about a half hour just to soak in. So I'm going to do this side, I'll flip it over, I'll do the other side, and then I'll do the other rib there, and then we'll put them in the smoker. Here's what they look like after they've been sitting for a while with that dry rub. It starts to soak in. A nice thick coating. There's that one and the other one here. They're both about, let me see, they're probably 4.25 pounds each. But the time is the same. It's what I said, the 2-3-0.5 method, whether you have one in there or 2. Pit Boss pellet smoker. Thing's ideal. Hopper full of pellets. And I've had no problems at all with this thing. It's great. But I keep it in the garage, so I wouldn't recommend leaving it outside. Let's see, power on. I just hold the prime for a bit to get enough pellets down into the fire pit. It is it's got an auger that automatically feeds the fire, so it maintains a steady temperature. So once you set the temp, you don't really have to do anything. I don't use, it has temperature probes. I don't use them for ribs because it's really just the time, not the internal temp. See, here's the setting. I keep it at 225, always for ribs. So let that heat up. Since I'm gonna have 2, I'll probably do, let's see, second from the bottom and then third from the bottom, and then I'll flip the racks around halfway through. I also put water in the pan just to keep the air moist in there. So once that thing gets up to temp, we'll throw those ribs in. All right, grill is up to temp. So we're gonna put them in. These are big, so bit of a tight fit. And for good measure, put more on there. A couple spots of rubbed off. More. water to that pan, and then it's 2 hours. No temperature measuring, just 2 hours. Okay, we're at the 2-hour mark, which means these are going to come out and get wrapped in foil. And I'll use these nitrile gloves. Help a little bit with the heat, but also, don't get all that grease all over myself. I used to not, but it's worth it. Get a box of them at Home Depot. Alright. And this is a heavy duty drilling foil. So get a decent sized piece. Put it on the floor mat here. Let me show you what I'm going to do. There's salted butter, half a stick. And we're just going to take the rib out. Place it right on that butter. Top side down. It's starting to look good. Put that butter right underneath. Let it melt. And put that butter right there underneath the top side of that rib. It will all melt together, so not to worry. And then apple juice. This is just Mott's 100% apple juice. I put about a half a cup. Cut the sides up a little. A half a cup. It's just gonna keep some moisture in there. Wrap that. It's airtight. Yep. And we're gonna do the same for the second rib. Ideally, I'd like to have a double layer of foil, but I do not have enough. So as long as you don't puncture any holes in it. That half stick of salted butter. That second rib. It's looking nice. That thing face down on the butter, sides up, half cup of apple juice, that wrap nice and tight, and I'm going to cook the paste out. I'm just going to change which rack that we're on. Just switch rack that we're in. So that's going to be now the 3 hours, and after that we'll take them out, barbecue sauce them, and put them in for the last half hour. Well, we've got about another 5 minutes to go on the 3 hours. So we did 2 hours unwrapped, 3 hours wrapped, and we've got all the utensils here ready for the next step, which is when I take them out in 5 minutes. I'm probably going to cut each rib rack in half, unwrap it, cut cut it in half, and then I'm going to take this Stubbs barbecue sauce, which is the original flavor, so it's not too sweet. Liberally apply it, and put all 4 pieces back in for the last half hour, unwrapped with the barbecue sauce, just to let it firm up a bit. So let's take a look at that. Alright, so we're at the 3-hour mark. 2 hours unwrapped, 3 hours wrapped. And we are now going to unwrap them, put barbecue sauce on them, and then put them back in for the last half hour. So let's take them out. Set you down here. Oh yeah. You can see how that meat is just coming off the bones. It's pulled in from the bones, and it is super, super tender. This is how you get the meat to fall off the bone. All right, so let's get the other one. It's smoking hot in here. Now the tricky part is they're going to have to be cut into halves. Just easier to work with. All that juice, honestly, I mean, you could make a kind of a rib gravy, I guess you'd call it, if you wanted to. I've done it before, it's pretty good, but I seem to be the only one that eats it when I do it. So it's just a lot of richness in there, a lot of the fat, the butter, the apple juice. So when you do it this method, you don't really have that crusty bark. Well, there's flies around here, which is disgusting, but you don't have that crusty, crunchy bark that you do if you do it unwrapped for a longer period of time. But this is much more tender. You can just see how tender that meat is. More tender result. So we just take the stubs and apply that liberally. It's not going to wipe off the dry rub because that's already cooked in there. Put it on pretty liberally, both sides. Okay. Trying to move faster than the flies. Don't fall apart on me. There's a lot of meat on there. That one fell off, so I'm gonna have to eat it. Alright, so they're essentially cooked at this point, but this last half hour gives them a nice firming up and kind of ties everything together. Flies. All right, so we got one. And here we go, number two. tenderness there. And then you could always leave the barbecue sauce out with the ribs, so when you serve your guests, they can put on more if they'd like to. I like to put it on before that half hour and then let it kind of cook in, so it's not too sloppy. I see it's coming right apart, which you want. Alright, let's take a look. There's all the juice that it was cooking in, and that's what they look like for that last half hour. So let's close them up. Another half hour. And then after that last half hour, I'll let them set for about 45 minutes, and that really just finishes it off. So I'm going to eat these little pieces here, and then we'll come back on camera once they're ready to come out. All right, the moment of truth. You've been in here the final half hour, and they look remarkable. So, what do you think now? And careful, because when they're tender like this, they tend to want to just come apart. I'll let these rest for like a half hour to 45 minutes, but I'm just going to go ahead and try them now. I mean, look at that. Everybody talks about fall off the bone, but honestly, this is the only method I found that actually makes it happen. I'll try it. Holy, that's good. Well, hope you found that helpful and enjoyable. And bon appetit, mon ami.